they should suspend until all the matters relative to the Supreme Court decision on Pandai rerun should be determined. And she said all the decisions in the Supreme Court on that particular matter no exhaust here and young exhaust elections no. And the elections in the 30th and new biome in Pandai. It is rest in the hands of the Supreme Court and the suspension. Now, anything I say, we are very grateful to the court, but the court should always uphold the rule of law. And on the 30th, and the NDC be ready and MPP be ready. Now, the Ejina Sonia on the 11th of June, Omuma civil ruling in the Supreme Court on the same matter. Because Uko had the Gazette notification, NDC Edibaye on the Akwetia issue, the Supreme Court ruling yes, the only Gazette notification certify the Ghana Publishing Company Edibaye, that is the Assembly Press, and it was gazetted on the 24th of December. So 24th December, Ube file a petition, then by 13th of January, Ube Tiyawi, and but NDC FLO petition on the 25th of January. It is 32 days over. And the determination no echo Supreme Court. Now on the 13th, no, yaba advance your legal argument and the Supreme Court ebechoso.
Okay, Medase Haruna, but what can I say ya watch the Yemuno? A year MP for a year Pandai Matthew Yindam. The fate at say day in a party no ya na sempo benka minority no Nkansah no more being put to use other more bay and as he say bubetu na side ye future for Matthew Yindam.
On the instructions of the General Secretary, my proceeded to Parliament. Many leadership no ya didn't come and a leadership no our initiative processor or speaker any the other side of the house no and Parliament ejima afaso because the letter of Parliament echo to the speaker to the letter commission for declaration Supreme Court actually said even though say omo there is a suspension in the application of that particular order. And say it was a court order that gave them the authority. The same court order no ABA and the Parliament of Ghana must review. Say letter no omube sure say letter no omwa yafrim. And the minority in Parliament omwa shase and omuye juma bi paso. Sisi adia mintimi nkase omwa wi anaso omu wi but the minority is working on that particular instance. Now the Amibeka paso no say so when you say your member of Parliament Matthew Yindam, he's still the member of Parliament. Access to Parliament because if the court say the court rules say the election of Matthew Yindam should stand and I said the court quashed the decision of the High Court. Say Matthew Yindam, they will not swear him in as member of Parliament again because we'll come back to Parliament. Echeo said he's not a new member of Parliament and I said and Chese power no accord. So we require the procedure in Parliament. Matthew Yindam is clearly reinstated as per the directive of the court.
Where do you want your Deputy General Secretary, Ebianko Beka for lawyers, but as the Deputy General Secretary, who's already Ebi Tugum say I court no yes was suspended and as electoral commission and suspended elections no for a year 30th no but when stated specifically say Ebi Matthew Yindam the one kumu anko ka say Ebi obo e friend and answer bibisa are you able to answer what do you want to say obo e kasa
the Amibeka say Parliament acted on a court order. Court order no was not to Parliament. The court order was a judgment, and the Parliament acted on the court order. So the court decision for today, that particular decision no back Parliament on the same orders from the court. Then the Parliament will act say electoral commission every timia ayisa particular character no Ephraim. But before say the Supreme Court has already directed say the electoral commission should not proceed, and the letter from Parliament electoral commission kwan so om proceed, but a letter from Supreme Court said that omu am proceed. The letter from Parliament is now because the Supreme Court has dismissed that because omu act on the orders of Parliament's letter. So omu declared the seat vacant. And once Supreme Court Emma directive said that our particular elections no more suspended until the substantive matter is being determined. It said the law must be the law. And the Parliament must act decisively to make sure say Martin Mindam is given the right of representation, and the people of Pandai say omunye the right of representation.
Mate Haruna Mohammed ene area yebeda wase ene wadaji. Why?
Me da obi biara se and I want to make TV so.
Okay, yami inshro. Yeah, that's it. Yo ashafo bopania no twetwe nkomo the Deputy General Secretary for the New Patriotic Party NPP Alhaji Haruna Mohammed no twetwe nkomo no na ye twetwe nkomo afa Pandai rerun no na wachiri mu as the Deputy General Secretary. Lawyer Evans Oseibo ewa hasani makachira on the sansuna Honorable Andrews Bediako, former MCE for German South, and so at Nasi. And Yabatu Ankomono so Yabatu na Yakoya Dibida Yashapandai dear and many others. But Consua and no no na ebi they found it laughable. Etiwa East Galamsey issue, say MC, you know, jailing 8 days and now 12,000. I fear Koya say why just a back and forth to be a bebem Galamsey issue, and we be want to say a bino and get serious about fighting Galamsey. Tiana who CSOs be almost say with immediate effect. Kebeya that president and Yabre nka Etiwa East MC, you know, on channel every akoyano so. Now but Franka Dr. Why Franka or regional minister. Yes, you to Galamsey or to the MCA to be. Now MCA jailin is here jailin 8 days. After 8 days no crana and your fine be fine here as a 12,000. Hey boy CSOs no any abrepa say Galamsey no dear David we dear nyeze when yabre we dear asa group na money it's the president be for days for ye who be do something. President Muhammad do something. Ye who say yes when he abre but quickly young call a year and some aron lawyer besame ma
ejoso ankeke
mamema Honorable Andrew so akwaba na afi Honorable Mema akwaba
keke ya Josu bru
ena pani bi o si ya beka se o na empo o si bi bisa se ya me bisa o hote sei na o si ya beka ne sei na ho ye de
o ta kansa
iti o si bi bisa o hote sei
iti na ya me se amanfo se ye ho ye
oh I'll get the name for enti ho ye amanfo se
yamenadom amanfo se ye ho ye ye ho ye pa
ye diamias
yameni ye didi
ye diamias
roja na na eba nti afinshia pa in advance say ye ba ye hu say studio say we see the flowers say hwa ha she say we are there ebra ye pia bontina na hu say adede bread aso enti ye mo bibia afinshia pa
po ya do be say bronya ba ku nine ai opposition de brunya
ba ku de yebedi sisi
ba ku de yebedi
na eyi enu firi wana jesa
kamiensa
Nyankopon na ode etwa apokoko no ode yembetwa ha ntibele me firi se eye de Nyankopon beka bi eye se eba se amagana fo ahunu enema na ho se omo ana omo ti opposition omo firi se MPP aban Akufo Addo na ni time den enti o man bibi ana ode kwa na nkofo bi firi se bi a emwa no yasesem na yes san kofa 24-hour economy aba ye buy 24-hour no minimum bia wo sisi ya sa fi no mo de ba dia some of us we haven't seen it
tools you
na yes man ka Galamsey ya wo kan ho ase bi say me am yonko MC na yes waje aboso wa Tiwa East ono ye ho na Abraham say asare ono former
Tiwa finance minister deputy finance minister yeah
okay
yeah
enti your regional minister, Ashanti regional minister. So no
Mensade ne nine de
for Yando say your court next so Budia.
Santinia Budia and could still time.
So Budia who say I don't know carry no crown I say no crown. That is just by the way. Kiki, Yahoye, Yabedi, I say a crown in ma.
Mate, Medas, Papa, Balaya. Now, on the sidelines, maybe Bisa AG Tech for the other. But no, now we do go so a walker. Maybe can be a brief on that stuff. Young cock bandai. Issues no. G Tech be a boy about him. A year, baby, a Ura Abdullah Jinapo, a one. Na omo enana say almost will be a doctor obi nya doctor wo nya doctor o doctor do ye fake ene ho krone ba sa yi body almost say almost so lawyers no almost so lawyer fo bi kra no mo kra mo nkra e degree ene e from lawyers enti a free next year no mo bebo awrem na just almost triple lawyers be naked me who lawyers be almost reactors ehwe na deba asem almost keka no lawyer ben no betumi aba be ye lawyer on credit degree na me hu anya krado ye kwakwaza me hu the write up be or no making reference to a year 1971 say read that was since 1971 actually said before say be ye lawyer no say unya degree from by the General Legal Council na so credit degree from an accredited university or tertiary and so about the GTech for cano grad on Tiasia. If I know the second, your only position, they say, adding, and I'm over idea, must a free 2026. Adding a more activities here. But briefly on that, what they also say, what's the other part?
Yeah. The Kiki, the mammy cancer, and say, in fact, Nanko Muju Mediano cry, Minya Nanka, first of all, my mini cancer doctor for Isapo. Why na me nsre kwatente mana na machia mikro me na na senso kofo abebio ene ne hema na na afratala mechia mo na mesre kwatente mfa me yamfum so sa o chia ukro mo hene before ansa na wachia doctor for isapo ni die kwan so de ma me kase di check for jumadi omo ye no eye but said there was so musitire mu no enye eno sa na omo ka because basically say obi beba be ye lawyer o said the first requirement say ukuta first degree ana yede SSS for and so ekobi like make us a requirement at Ghana School of Law at the foul ma obde lawyer no I Ghana School of Law Makola Kumasi campus and Legon campus near there. The only thing I was say unya no basic year was unya a first degree from an accredited university into the first degree, but first degree no I was say year Bachelor of Laws. That means that also what first degree ewo emeremu law why first degree so requirements near Bachelor of Laws. It could be second class, it could be third class, it could be you see Ghana School of Law there and once ukuta first degree ewo Bachelor of Laws or LLB na otro entrance exams now qualifying kwa dia then ombejo ya ko train na unti once a law profession wo hwemu a ye wo pupillage ye wo academic and your professional and your pupillage into academic no ne say obedi kan your first degree which is Bachelor of Laws into be first degree in fear 9 na wawie into so hwa me say ya na me di kan kuta degree that I will go University of Ghana Bachelor of Arts Geography and Resource Development medical in the University of Ghana no makwawie but abra me be law no me san be start be from first year and so san be Bachelor of Laws saa working at UST and so in fear 9 ebiem and the ba sense me kuta degree me no at the legon there na Geography and Resource Development no ana there law me benya na Bachelor of Laws LLB and no friend LLB no first no na just say ukuta first degree and san am law that means that just where the carry degree or university be accredited university and sakura na law ni am wakoye but an idea and Sunday I'm a Bachelor of Laws. But Nadia so BBSS cry and the results near bear 6 and 7. Obey to me, Aqua Bachelor of Laws, now LLB no, Ewo, KUST and now Lego and now any accredited university. But so started LLB now and just a lawyer. and a bachelor of law so di kan benya first degree in this first degree na Ghana Law School at the ebefa watch entrance exams na pass ya into our first degree na wadi kan wie no bachelor of laws no and no the foul ansa na wa ko train you as a lawyer but what they are metre ase into basic requirement a obi e we so nya ne say ubenya bachelor of laws a first degree a e kire say e yemra ana wakosua nti wasua emra mfie 9 ana mfie miensa ansa na Ghana School of Law afaw but the problem ne say ade ananka mpesa omo tremu ne say empo senkomo otumi a ombetimi de atremu ame ehunu say enipa ye owura courtroom o lawyer na onye lawyer because the problem is o kokota ye wege na wo hye no arobi na obebo na oniama nyina abokom ba se obi wuram ebeye lawyer enye bia ye wo ba na ebetimi ehunu say nipa we de na say ye produce lawyers ne ba bebre so the point is in the courtroom no how na judge ne betimi assess ehunu say we or your lawyer and think I will make a case or make it where you be an answer application be an be at this before Abacasano. Nan cause our license number Kolatuja. Emi who say Uguta license answer. In doing some medical them says Udi Kenya Bachelor of Laws no every be a Kenya UST legal and any accredited university. I think now Beko Ghana Law School and also our bachelor entrance exams answer. And the honey academic no Wadi Kenya. To Ghana Law School so I know most be training in Fiemino. As you say in Fiemino ne de ya kanesa na nso obitimi de mfie 9 obitimi de mfie mensa na hono na ye professional law school na so be professional no and we are ansa no asa be serve wo lawyer bi na law firm bi ase eno na friend pupillage and we pupillage na ansa na yakolo why when your license to practice as a lawyer
okay
and ba bi o mo peso mu wura ne say o ma adwene ne say obi wo hono ma wanya sa first degree na kire bachelor of laws no na ode kwaye ode aba beye ode ko Ghana School of Law sa no mpese o mo kire but Ghana School of Laws before be fa no this okuta bachelor of laws so uni bachelor of laws no ma onye opa akoye course bia na ye degree wo course bia on fa but e bia no manya information say e bia obi aba law profession ni mu a na unkuta bachelor of laws no na e bia ordinary degree bia oye na obabi e bia accounting and answer e bia okoye geography bi no okuta degree na ode nya akwanya de ba Ghana School of Law because e bia asem na ehu e bia na obi etesa me matene nkomodiem sa na obi kan bibi sa
ba said ye me kan ye no 1971 a year na Kwaku kan it's in black and white
yes
enti abaya won so obi betumi awuramu aba ye
on say you should be by maybe no mo kan ho asem time na ye Ghana School of Law director baako na omo say wa fa nipa bi wo kan UST no mo kan lawyer the oma one of the senior lawyer yes ne ebinum o kire se ebinum kura nya the degree bi di kai ko wura mu koye law aba professional law school a minim I stand to be corrected ente bia no na ama ahye wo mo say na ne yema hwehwem say obi abaye lawyer abra wanya Bachelor of Laws na ansa na otimi akoye professional law course no abaye lawyer na eno no but ba bia ese hia wo say anka yetiremu ne say ura courtroom a e say ehu say ampa ukuta license na wo ye lawyer ampa because o kai say Kenya obi wura mu a odi AI study say dey see cases afi dey no dey lawyer for cry reform any judge for the any bias na say law school kronko bi da enso ru bia bebu sani bia na otimi ka so point no enti ebinum betimi awuram aba abrawoni license na wunum say we wie law no kra no na ye lawyer ye call to the bar oba court wontimi nye case because am na no need license to practice because you people ni we are and san our license number na ye dey aba and san wetimi a practice nti ube gina mu so ye case am obi a lawyer bia hu a obetia o setna se we license nti ma on kasa o courtroom so court no ma audience kasa enti jumade no mo be ne de eye nenso se degree a amanfo de akoye law no na mo pede ne o munya nipa bebede sa because the minimum ne say lawyer for ne de the minimum say o munyina the first degree na ye bachelor of laws na ansa na obi wa okuta degree ne bebre ansa na o san be bachelor of laws no ebia no ya accountant o ye we ebia no ya pharmacist ansa na o san be law
mate better say enti these are the thoughts of a lawyer Evans Osei Bonsu na quickly yebeko substantive pandai deɛ do na ma gye wadwe nkyerɛ bɛka sɛ ɛyɛ honorable Andrews Bediako enso ɛwɔ ha nti akyire bɛba ne nkyɛn na yɛwura pandai dim na me ne no yɛ wie a baako a ɛnɛ nso no ebia yɛbɛhwɛ na yɛadwendwen ho ɛbrɛ bɛbɛma menhwɛ ɛbrɛ bɛbɛma ɛyɛ petitioner Daniel Oforimafo a ɔtwerɛ petition kɔba President John Dramani Mahama ɛfa ɛyɛ Justice Yoni Kulendi ɛho no sɛ undeserve sɛ ɔbɛyɛ justice anaasɛ ebia Chief Justice no Justice of the Supreme Court President Mahama ɔmahwɛ adeɛ no mu ɔmohwɛ mu wie no ɔmosi ɔmo ɛho bibi prima facie yi bia wɔ mu nti adeɛ no kyesɛ mu aha wasama ɛyɛ secretary Callistus Mahama 4th December watwerɛ krataa de akwakon sɛ bra tie pɛbɛbi tena na bonhwe gubo na o case de mu ha yɛduru hɔ no lawyer ɛbɛkyerɛ yɛ mu ebi sɛ o na sɛ saa de na ɛbɛba na ebi sɛ expected nti ɛtu de awie wei ɛkyerɛ pɛpa
nti yɛnka saa petition
yɛhwɛ pandai yɛnkɔ pandai
ɛnɛ ɛyɛ nigye sɛm kɛseɛ ma the good people of Pandai ana nyina dam that is honorable nyindam Matthew you see severally maka say
ne ugina so a woka say ade do na days no I think say no na Gary
the court no for sexual right no because me di kan ka say o hwe CI 127 na regulation 18 no to 26 na aka ho asem say the mandatory requirement a obetimi de akọ as a challenge parliamentary election be within 21 days after the EC now a gazette while publishing BBA on a website, and it's supposed to be an accurate website, a recognized website. EC needed to and someone say within 21 days no court. A papa is court in a 34 days, and at that time the court lacks what jurisdiction as obeti matraso. Etina maka say jurisdiction is very fundamental in law. And so be like a jurisdiction no otana there so uni to me uni capacity and your friend a local standard to me now or they ban to me so transfer. Do you have the capacity? Do you have the local standard? And this local standard they are with my transfer so and the court to be like a capacity that is a capacity no ntimi mfa transfer so court na kan timi versus my baby. So timi versus sama baby court ne kan say obi lack capacity is very fundamental and it is all lack capacity a untimi ntana asem bi so that means that obetima hwa di asem na enipa ne pa won challenge o capacity no obetima hwa me di asem na we ya no raise issue on capacity and capacity can be raised at any time any day into opekra ye di asem na we no da basa na oni capacity na otana so et say we fiti prekope na de asem okọ what they call an animal champion fear of it yana wako tune for hona was what they are smart on administrative wise no or say to nana or say to asante hine wa ye o take so kurura nana mesra wani de ebo din kasa ohun say wahyehe hierarchy e wo ho ntu be kọ na himfie na bia besi suman kwan ni so besi we nya asem bia na de kọ na nim direct what I say ntu fiti na de asem no kọ otum for director e bebo wa asem na gu because at that time no or no any capacity because at that time or the almost abosom sem or the ohwe we tell us how they call baby before kranzana abedu so administrative wise no court no kra no any capacity to set because at that time requirements no any panel me meet and then your friend no condition precedent and the condition precedent certain conditions must be fulfilled before answer wet me aba and the condition na court no the amount say within 21 days after same has been published or gazetted as an wet me about and untina or call Supreme Court to issue certiorari. If I listen to some of the lawyers or say when issue be border on constitutional matters the clock you don't need to stop the clock and the clock must continue to work. Very well, but this does not border on interpretation of any provision in the 1992 Constitution. Where the position of the law is very clear when it comes to parliamentary elections and its challenge under Article 99, Clause 1 and 2. There are clear parliamentary elections. Supreme Court also decided that I say where there is overvoting, that is irregularities, voting without biometric verification, irregularities no. Obi a casting a vote, validly casted vote no, any can say nullify no. That means that
wait, in the can 2012.
2012.
Because Chachichikata,
yes.
A court.
That is so.
Court,
and 2012 no NPP. That is Nana Dodan Kwaku Fuado and others versus John Dramani Mahama and others. Court only stated the position of the law clearly. What I say, baby over voting without biometric verification, irregularities are happening in Ano. Yentimin can say because of that, they nullify the entire results. It was said. Obia to vote into status could be a can define a dear money be a maintain no answer. Wait there and your crani echo, any panini capacity to come to court. Now was I declare and in the case, say any panel petition and now back court and they are not here only 41 polling stations. Maybe I'm what problem no 41 polling stations. And those 41 polling stations no who irregularities. And irregularities have been voting without biometric verification, over voting, and others. More practices, baby, na koso. Fine, sir, 41 polling stations. What is the total number of the people at about 41 polling stations? It is those 41 polling stations. No, so free 3,700 honorable MPP ninya ya. Ebetimi change results nana. The answer is big no. Intimate change results. Then why should you call for a rerun of the entire constituency? That means that, you see, if you read 1979 Judge B book or say the judge 1970 or say when the judge leaves the law, he knows the law but he leaves the law and gives his own decision, he will subject himself to criticism. What I say, oh, a judge, say, or where an enactment has prescribed a procedure, that procedure ought to be followed. And the emphasis enactment to be caught on a can war, Boyfie versus NTAC Properties Limited. I think 2016 thereabout. Court said where an enactment prescribed a procedure, that procedure ought to be followed. What is the procedure? The prescribed procedure enacted by law. I was said govern parliamentary elections within 21 days. Regulation 18. CI 127 regulation 18 a copy 26 within 21 days and I was back court now be challenge where there you've exceeded that limit. I'm not 34 days after no akoko and the court no or lack jurisdiction by what me atana assembly to say medi and the court lacks local standard. The court lacks that capacity. The court lacks that jurisdiction to set on the matter. And I said that Timi versus Ama Baby. If you lack jurisdiction, you cannot entertain the matter. In the first place, then we invoke jurisdiction of the court because court need to maintain because we need to mean so. That is why you will case at the court district court, you will case at the court circuit court, and you will case at the court high court, and you will case at the court Supreme Court. And to confess Supreme Court case the court district court no court or lack jurisdiction. So I point into the point I say I can say Supreme Court and Nasimo Makan Nkansah some no dia bana me bo ma baso. Yeah, they more for my criticize them Supreme Court. No matter what more society a cry beba. But their point is more from enquire there beka be na me bo Supreme Court abaso. The reason being that say o mama sumdue aba pandai. O mama uncertainty I wo nyina any panic ne suspension suspense nipa ko nyina no o mama asumdue aye den etimia asi e wo pandai because the point is sasa shurara no nipa ni issue no one say parliament mom aka electoral commission say onkonkoto aba na nanka Supreme Court nanka obetena sa shurara ni so but the point is arini makun say yen serve obi entisi yen serve obi na opre homa Seshura right no okotena so a obetena so bewie omoso beka to say order 7 of CI 47 ya serve a high court rule na make to e was serve obi and services so no eno so ekere say principle of ordi alteram partem rule the principle of fair hearing that is one fa pepepe ye ani say nipa no one serve no a okay ana NDC member of parliament no why smart baby o mo pena serve ni bi oya na wadwane yeah no wadwane baby o mo pena serve ni bi oya na wadwane what is the rationale behind it? I do not often say it was actually malice broni beka sa adwembone actually bad faith ni say me hu sa deal we am be serve me ma mon serve because mo serve me an hwe ya medi for it make dwane service ni sa so he was trying to evade service. Into law musanya can the person is what evading service. Into evading service lawyer Nima pa. There was a filing motion for substituted service supported with an affidavit. Into filing motion ragari ni wako. My monaso senior Nti legal team no obo adwuma ho pa uragari ni mako. I'm telling you, oya de MPP pa. It officially motion for substituted service. That means that minya kwa ne serve no. A motion ex parte. Ex parte is different from motion on notice. Motion on notice no. Say me be bon kai say me de adisredi edikoto court na bra. Na o wanu ya fabra no ye motion on notice. But so ko no motion ex parte dia na say no mo bia mane. Enipa no me hwehwe na minya no. Me serve na minya no. Enti moma me kwan na me serve no through WhatsApp. Moma me kwan na me serve no through ebi a notice board that was Supreme Court and me fan called daily graphic. Moma me kwan na me serve no woni emfa kotetare ne fie ho. Moma me kwan na me fa o kan Oslawusu versus Kwame A+. That case na court na chese obetima serve ni pa through WhatsApp. Oslawusu versus Kwame A+. Court na say obetima serve no through WhatsApp. Enti Supreme Court na na kan say WhatsApp obetumi asave obi.
Enti we obunim the number obetumi
the afaso. Enti what is how motion ya ka say motion ya desrede. Motion for substituted service enti why say minyane nsabe because we try we make it 3 attempts. Na say we nya nipa na nsabe na ansa na motion for substituted service. Misi obi na efie no nipa na.
And you say no last 7 days.
7 to 14 days.
Okay, 7 to 14.
It depends upon the quarter.
Okay, but then maybe
to be on my order no the bema on 7 days.
Okay,
within 7 days.
Okay, within 7 days.
7 to 14 days court no betimi amount. Order no mu bia say within 7 days fire adwuma, within 14 days fire adwuma no. But automatically last for 7 to 14 days. And the point is how within that time no na was akoye sa service no. Into your service no ama we wadwuma ya court to aden eno ane se court na sha se kan asem na say ya bo nka ye no ama court no respected the principle of fair hearing pepepe ye say ubo we nka ye no abo we nka ye nti on ambush obi so the court wants to avoid ambush litigation said they won't mean for obi achi no abeje judgment asian and the service is important I was say we serve obi it is only when serve obi na watimi evoke the jurisdiction of the court what you say and that non basa service na ya adwuma na e basa be ma court na timi atanase aka na asem and the service is very important I bring it the main purpose idea service na the principle of what or the authorem partem rule principle of what fair hearing court ni can be Barclays Bank Ghana Limited versus Ghana Cables this service ya dia ehun here so Barclays Bank Ghana Limited versus Ghana Cables service is very important nti we several say nipa no e ma ne nsaka krata no no nso be yi na no na se nipa ne try so odwane dia na wakọ motion for substituted service na me ye case me fa keto abi na me ye case no Western North for baby. Miss Abu ya say Obako to us in Yamina de Aname. Miss Abu ya si Fiena, yes, in Yamia. Miss Abu ya si way Yamia, Obako to no abedina. And the way then Wabusa netters or patches ya Sabuni Pap. It is a mere answer after they make call, say, make or servo contractor Usidano. Contractor no make a wama or do OEVD service. I don't make call motion for substituted service. And your mom is a man from Cotitare, Mediatare. And the contractor now ma dia nature say afi obi so buy obi say na ohene na esi ohene so awu afi me ko serve the regent of the stool continue ohene ni wa na na me ko serve no so anye wadoje e na masra ye motion for substituted service enti no so substituted service me de ko teta continue ahemfie ho ni ba bia wa ama afi me nipa no edan na wusie no me gi ni fie na me gi ne dan na me de na ade ama nti court no bebu ama no obu ama ni wi a na afi makoye entry of judgment me entry of judgment do be say police for na soldier for kuratu na dan bulldozers ebu dan ni nyina egu sa dan na be say be ma okurum ha enti service ndo betima evedi enti na Supreme Court aya ade a asombo na de asomdwa and that order no the moment order no aba no eye court na ma order na nsa na parliament ediso na parliament na say order ne ho so order ne ho a on ne ho 700% that because we read the case of Asare versus Attorney General Asare versus Attorney General. Court na said the 3 arms of government are separated from one another in terms of functions and rule. However, court ne sanka say separateness no does not mean there is a thick wall separating the 3 arms of government. There is no thick wall. Bian koto offense war mfancheche the arms of government in which say judiciary ni parliament ni hwani. There is no thick wall separating them. But the court ne can say separateness with reciprocity and interdependence. But what you have Asare versus Attorney General. The court can say, although the 3 arms of government are separated from one another in terms of functions and rule, however, that separateness no, and total separateness. I said there is a thick wall separating the three arms of government.
Okay.
But that thick wall, no, anyhow, it means that there is that kind of what interdependence and reciprocity. Enti you depend on reciprocity. Enti the we can someone na someone I say with this one, I say with this one. So it means that reciprocity nature say cooperate with the other arm of government. To one arm of government as I catch say yinjai election na ye kono say de asumdwe beba nyemfa nkɔhye 13 so de decision beba ansana say bibi wo hɔ se ebetumpo a yakɔ. Enti was say parliament and sa reciprocity no eye adwuma no cooperating with the other arm of government.
But maybe you cry a better of what's the fate of a year Matthew Yinda since but lawyer spoken at length men call a year Honorable Andrews Bedia Conso and Honorable and a 5-member panel of a year Supreme Court
unanimous decision
Omo Akasa.
Yɛbɛfa kɔnsona yɛadɔwase na yɛakyea abusuafoɔ mo hwɛ nkanka German Southfoɔ nyinaa keke wonim sɛ mɛbasi na manka baomi asɛm a ɛnyɛ yi o.
Yes, no, dear, it is allowed.
Here, lawyer, they say, yeah, the embargo actors on Kabi. You say, you better trap, and then you know a campaign. Lawyer, the embargo actors.
Honorable, who radiate means you na beba time na means you.
Kai, ye na ebe kwa kotroba 31st January 2026 ni say Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia eda so gina kum ya ye nyina ye nim say ya gye atum say party for no baby ya nantene de omo kan nyina ne say say Bawumia ene ye de ne ba na ofata nso fi say akuma ye de agye nsem tum ene de ye betumi aboa ma ye party akonanim sema nkofo aka fa ne ho bia wonte say wabɔ wakrada ebia obi obabia o defender na asa o kebi ma no ebia sema o kan akotia obi ne de kan beto no ankasa as Mahmoud Bawumia o ye ne kempa o mo obi akra din beto no ne din no de babia yese o di mpa ene ebo o di nso ane ebo ena odom so anisa de o so ntakrache no eso Bawumia enti ya na yemu bi de enye enwanwa enti ye na ya adwen se ye be kan nsem bebre e de agu papa ye ho fi ene nsem a ese ye kai se primaries no we are dan a obewene or when we have to come together as a political party na nsem a wo kan na Bawumia ye weak Bawumia ye failure Bawumia ye this no how do you correct some of these things after the primaries e ba sa wo nye honest politician because nipa wo kan sa nsem we nyina wo other social media and platform ahoro so a wo kan fa de ho ne de ka ho no on kasa but enche the next 2 months na wo sa nipa kure wo san baba because sa nsem na wo kan fa papa no ho enye no kra I mean what do you expect there na office nkrofo ese omoje otum the same thing e wo other aspirants no enti ye nyina ye hwɛ se nsem a ye ka no e be ma yakoma abafom free say ye the emotions nko aye politics na emwae ye fu ba akum na efiri na me sure I'm highly convinced say Bawumia win no de wa hwen e wi na mo no vote difference na ye pese ye pagya mu kwa animu we say obu obi na ofa obu ni yi a o kina o front kwa ya na o hwen ho yi but I say wan tumi am bu ni yi na say aye bibia ho a ya na ofi say ono call the next one obetumi say mo call boxing we say nipa no 13 14 15 4 ofi say adena ka wanwan bi nti o kina me san free rematch a metumi ne na akọ nti ye say yetumi ma ntokwa no efunu nkrofo na omokwa na omahu say adeno ba bi edure no o ma wie no ensem ba ko mienu bi a efiri nura besi na ye party ye jabam papa ay jabam o hwe former domekwa be yampi adwa sara ensema safo de watoto agum kena Japan to bi agum and then so Brian so to bi agum but correction ba ko pebi na mpese me you see Brian obi a me pena sem papa me kwa say that better me ka say mpese o twa kena Japan na ko nya second position no but the oil ma withdraw sa support you see what can sem bia ya correct sa ansem na bet we repeating ne o se Bawumia anwene zongos na wo Ghana ni na ba ko pe na onwene ye na sisi no mo change narratives say why nyɛ smart ya uhu de all kind sisi ya say Bawumia about 3,000 zongo communities tie ha yofa this are we smart or say zongo communities but communities no polling stations SCC communities enti yankoto community elections yaka so ye to ne house by house of what they making because zongo ho no kona say zongo no ha yento elections no house by house no waka say zongo community and Bawumia lusu a polling station because community polling station or community no and a polling station ye to abano yento ne house by house enti the all can say we're moving from polling station to zongo communities but nyasakwai we get there a polling station okay what dem again enti polling station no anybody who tells you say just a wini banko na Bawumia wen it's a lie ya more evidence ukwa electoral commissioner ya more data actually say answer no even abetifi no a ya papa branch empon ye MP or Bawumia won the polling station ye zongo enti other mischief anase bia yemfa kwan bi so politics as usual na yemfa ye so Bawumia ye obi a olusu zongo obi a se o ye zongo ni okofa zongo for votes aba okoye wamfa amba it's a lie Bawumia ye betu senya brand na kwa metumi abo zongo more than 100 and over ya Bawumia wene across the country and this one when ye na one share the year no so a community zongo community but there is nowhere because uba bunu regional ye wo sunyan zongo wo sunyan be no nche se nipa na omwo sunyan zongo ho nyina na omu nyina ye zongo fo because baby e no ntino there are other people are into be who say polling station bi wo zongo community even a Christopher to aba ho enti wakofa community no as safe say ye to aba no house by house but ye to aba sa house by house enti yen kan say polling stations a omudi kan say Bawumia winning only winning ba polling station no ye kofa data no ba ye tiro mu say more than 100 and over zongo communities and polling stations across the country so mo change ni say e communities asem no mo kan but yen to aba no house by house e polling station enti obi a obeka cho say Bawumia antumi anwene for the first time ye party of adetie ni zongos votes no Bawumia e move from 30 to 40%. People are not looking at the data from 30 to 40%, but omo kwa round so catch enkrofo say Bawumia kra ntumi amfa zongo votes amba, which is a lie. Enti mesre bra champon oyobi a mepena sem papa oyobi a owonim de and ansem aye ke data so oyobi a oye data analysis o onim de hoka aye politics ti e besre sa ni prinsem na obo kan wa abonte se Bawumia weni zongo so it's a lie, it is never true. Na onweni ye first other area say zongo no so kan ho because ye kan national elections na over aye one constituency lawyer ya o kan constituency o kan sa what I say enti aye one constituency ye nka say we et say elect first MPD no a ye wo manhia ye wo we ni dabi aye Ghana ni nyina na ye ka bomba ko na nano ayeshia Dr. Mantu Opoku Prempe o kan sembi wosunyan of manage papa o say ye ne tribe bi e wo Ghana ye beka say unko obetumi anwe elections e wo Ghana. It is not possible and it's a fact because ye koyi obi a sisi ayete Ashanti region President Kufuor ye presidential candidate no nya Asantefo nko na man ye president ni ono kwa Asantefo nko ntumi man ye president ye yi Bawumia Mampusi for one to man and president. Ye obi or yan crane and cry for one to man and president. Ye can Japan free central regional, Fante for one to man and president. Bra Champon, Eastern region for one to man and president. But ye can amalgamation. Abonophobe ba, Asantephobe ba, you want you as a candidate, and son of Yenina can wobble months and what to me be a president. And this answer like can best Yenyaka. Nebubi, ya been said, data no, I am Makwama win intro. You bet checking. Inti the American say, I know ye public announcement. Bakwa me the buy. Public announcement.
Can say, all can so baby on my said the honorable can ye come. But baby or somebody to obit is I just suffer. Because I manage any statement. So only the last statement to make here if all issue against honorable candidate Japan. You don't come publicly and say that say Mumusa doctor or candidate Japan say or we need na me the CV beto obema ministerial appointment and no. So interest say obenya ministerial appointment in tea. And
honorable I'll give you ample time now.
Was our statement. Because also Canada so may family, may they have some also family and friends.
Family and friends.
Family and friends. And what I say, I don't see you call my a bono or money. To obey or any that then to obey campaign Yama His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bami. So we are clear indications to say, let's say that be a walk or honorable candidate Japan. That means honorable candidate Japan, what become a public now say on your family and friends what. Family
and friends quite young for hobby.
Okay, but we have a lawyer for also the staff mission on all that. But maintain honorable.
Quickly, no, me call my faban to my constituency.
Okay.
Offer Asenso Waya Juma.
Oh, Asenso dear. Honorable Asenso dear.
Minister, I'm telling you.
Honorable Asenso dear, no doubt.
Said the Bedi Rose Minister and Asenso Dino. No doubt. Me say, she said, area baby anywhere you mukuta. Esen called extended the Bami Krum Jama South. A one problem. In the Asenso, why
now Asenso no buy a few months now, obey
when you're 2 years.
Minister. Yeah, the idea, Kaya, Emra,
last week's me far, Kumawu Road, of I also crown. Though Ashanti Region, I'm on 14 years or more, you're quite a bit. Asensunya 2 years and not 3 years.
Oh, yeah, and Kaha, your problem of your roots.
Enti Asensu de me twa pussy, why there. Na mas say a bino more than Accra Kumasi Road. Kiki. Nanka hwe nka 6 months bia na yetumi de efele portals no. For the past almost 1 year ni nothing. The Maria who is employing for nyina omo na wiem. Timpercent ka create portholes e wo so ho. Oh, nanka flight no so to top portholes ma. Nanka omo hu say the portal nti e be stress aban no. Kwame Abuja, mesrew. Wotena opposition ye nim sema wo kan e. Accra Kumasi Road. Monte te portholes no mai. Na ye nam form no ye so ye hu try.
But true, mostly na by air. Omo koba by nti omo enfili ehu obi kra dim say de kwan no kra etie.
Yes. Omo hunu the same thing Sunya Road one say free man can so call be chimney you know so abaya wotwa mo de ma contract omo ayer first class baby na sha ase ye minister contractor no we obesa ko back akwa but a free fancy e ko man can so wow keke baby esenka watch part 20 minutes no you can spend more than 1 hour na untumi nko e nti e kon so e besre e fi mopa ho baby I'm telling you na sibi kura cars e car ho no amanfo ko fa barakese ene offenso ene akomadan area ho na omko sunyan. That is very bad. Nti e besere say aban no hwe na wonye ne yima of a public announcement am de bae ne. Afi me ba say on say ye wo abusu pani to park first principles of law. Eno ho. Nti na me fi say we dey enye sa. Makọ park so na mabobo awie na obi akofi obi ade no resource ko one na yiri akori wo ha na ya fro se momra na e penalty na referee no so ogie no enye ne kwan so ntimo mra na ye nsan bo penalty foforo but we dey abesi sa abre we dey meaning say dey gina ho ano no nti abusu pani to park first principles of law no ene dey enye adwuma nti Supreme Court for ebebo mo abaso omo ayade na enye wie ne peye nti omo amufi say ani gie ne de ha yensusu kakra enye wie ne peye na de na Deputy General Secretary Kaya ade abakwana na me bisa me question say no what is the fate of the MP say Osianko back to Parliament until say date na Supreme Court aka na beba mu ana I think say o ma cheche ma yina ya te ho as say na lawyer kan say na o say nipa na ye ne deal na o Speaker of Parliament no of our 1830 o me ebetumi ayɛ ma yi sɛ wahwɛ yi ayɛ wa anagba be na bɛta ka kyɛn sɛ the Supreme Court kan ayɛ no ɔno High Court
basa gabɛyɛ wa lower court tabale High Court de ɛyɛ lower court
wɔ kurom ha ɔpani ka sɛ Supreme Court no ɛyɛ independent ɛna ɔno so parliament yɛ independent ɔfa bi si kurom ha enti ɔno deɛ you can yes enti ɔno no ɔyɛ obi a yɛyire nim sɛ asɛ wayɛ repository of knowledge ɛna ɔte ɔman mu nti we deɛ bɛsrɛ Supreme Court no we
ba sa honorable we deɛ de ho bɛyɛ nwanwa sɛ ba ko ne yɛ Judge Kwesi
yes
ebra na Nkansah time majority no cry yes yengi Judge Kwesi every hall eno no twentwa de na ase we deɛ ba ya was court akasa wom when you nefro eno no play double standards in the first place but the whole kind so the BS pay back when there but minority the ebe hwe taking steps na
why obi a okase ase ono de obeka no ese eno na ye fa na ma obi anka bibiem tintintintin but I don't think say we are say we nipa ba kofo na nyansa wo ne team eno ntina even court na ye ka ho asema na lawyer kai ye wo court no ba bi ye hya ase ense na akwa kudu Supreme Court free say court no the lower court no say ye magistrate na district court obetumi a but okoduru High Court na wa correct no High Court betumi a but okoduru appeal court judges no e come yensa ene de ka obetumi a ko mo ntumi a ye ko Supreme Court at least be 5 or 7 na challenges aba na yetu nti na ye wo institutions na wa obi aye na adwuma nti ye besere bo aben say the Supreme Court na aka no say o de ye adwuma onto sector chief no beduru na say eduru kra na say ka say Supreme Court asem na okan no na omo abisa be ka say sa se chudurara ya inua gabi garo de ko yi enya adwuma then it becomes a different thing altogether but as it stands now confirm na Supreme Court aka ndey fanya adwuma keke de ka ho ne say ohun say lawyer can who asem ye me no man this for movie say they are intelligent to some level na me hwe sa former doctor and now yagine doctor free in semi Tanku former
Rashid
former doctor Tanku me hwe no na nsama na wo ka no I had to say there omo ahyeda boapaye bi na omo ye say omo nya omo adwen say omo beje service no because enra de no okay our candidate has not been served, he has not received any service. Our country has not been saved. Now, I dream by the whole team. Baby, I would take Grana, we interview, but to me, dear bro. Or say, NDC in your party to the suit, which I agree. Or a candidate in your party to the suit into one SS7. And a washer than a Wakosha Kwandai, or as Uru Kwandai, Wakosha could be as well. So almost if Kusia bombiness or Moko 2 years and a Wakoshim. And you offer, where the uncle when Munte. So, wouldn't himself case here. Asema ye bedie no wo case obetumi respond to issues na ya kan say enka okra obetumi ababonte oh me woni pass me mo fan ko NDC party me sabeka but we die wodundu ni forms nyina and wa sheda so said ye be ya 30th no beduru ntem meanwhile judgment no ba he na wo se parliament actual letter e dia koma electoral commission for na electoral commission for nya act no wo say ko ye fence court e ko file contempt against electoral commission. What was it? Would you know? What was that? Would you but we the entity now my imagine say and them mum the omoko court na and ya the Supreme Court bet we am judgment because office and sankai na me de Nyankopon say Supreme Court in their wisdom obviously yenye substituted service against anokano. Yes.
Omo for substituted service, yeah.
Substituted service.
Yeah.
And this is say pussy bomb no she kwandai hokra ne sabeka. Because
yes, no, that one they don't need to. And they answer Okosevu no. A motion as party no the coin na or they akose court no man coin non seven no through WhatsApp through court through a notice board. Oh, you answer personal service near year free hobium into one ya mesebo. Into onya de tetare court or no nya de court tetare nyina a more friend saying NDC ni no your friend saying
candidate
Sala into onya de kwatetare ne fie abontene no onya de teta court premises no onya de kwateta district court or anaseki court or notice board awasebo no ana osan sebo send a process no WhatsApp at the manual to say they was send at wasebo na wie nti say no wontimi mfa nkwahye nsem because ya wave personal service na free ho
nti keke won say de ma ye duru bebi ye duru nyina ye ensema e course e wo High Court e wo Tamale na wo hwe nsanu mu a you will be a lawyers of working cancer be a sometimes you use you drink a crow. What do you want to say? Will be a wako court or say 41 polling station or all issues war. Yen Shani and Kanwasen. Oh, yeah, now wako make a statement say, Yen Kotu Abani enough for. And the a friend saying 2013 a Supreme Court a judgment about it. Sir, Judge, one can be Anna. And I want to take case in and this is what you say, eh, Wapayo. Because the attorney say, Keke, baby, I was a seer, Obi Obey Sania, maybe, Ubu said the next opportunity, but near Pajana, the anymore. She animals farm a judge. On the crown, we and crown also voluntarily were retired and or quatrevi. But your number animals farm judgment or the buy into your Pajano Edno a priest court on it. Into ways not official or yes, I did. Not any day. Oh, but say yes, I near my way now. Ma confidence in Uncle for what judiciary mono of an air conform. And we been a maker to pack a principles of a first principles of a lawyer. Oh, a man Crawford was what is going on? Because you know you say your last resort to a court. If you say you say your judicial your executive legislature offer yachichem obianim. Yachichem ya ye ho bibia enye yie but we mu de yenim se ye pewabo na se enye yie a ehọ na okodwantoa enti nkrofobi few people be shemu na omo ye omo adwen se omo de mra be she omo se because they say the law is in the bosom of the church na enu nti omo fa kwam bia so ayesa de na I don't think say it speaks well for this country enti Supreme Court modi we aba enye wie de substantive case na nkasa yenya hwe. He said, dear Gary and the MPP for no can say date now a branch and call court honorable MP no or they call court no nay chum and or tabri and or the coy because you were evidence or her and I say you were case nubi or her. I made the same gazette notification nubi ana yedi and next kumia when you baby kui the same thing na buy inti at the fufu bia ni one inti minim say a branch no de ntia na wo dwane a ono mpese obeje service fufu bi ba we say your friends say never over me na me I was highly confident say you can say you kwakoto boy he will win. But I'm not so why because lawyers never quite Supreme Court we are. What happens to the High Court, the Appeal Court, a case no so because almost the High Court judge issues no by now the appeal Appeal Court. In the Supreme Court also higher than the but different issues. And him say Supreme Court don't person just a date now or the court to name him and until or more fairly say yen cancel case no outright. But there is an appeal Appeal Court. In this Kobasi Appeal Court say judge quite often so dear said na say said no ye no enye papa nti watwa High Court judgment no what happens to the Supreme Court judgment? Okay, me bow. What the Supreme Court case? On say Supreme Court dey na sexual right. And the sexual right ne say olake jurisdiction na watena so into onkwahye no kra. And na de bia waka bia onkwahye no. Ana Court of Appeal no e dia omokoya ne say almost on point of law and yama ogina associate nkoto the entire constituency ni nyina no emremotia because 41 polling station or the buy polling station or kwati free mu still win about 500 free 3000 as now so need to mean what na so and our issue is a sure right to quash it ekobasa Court of Appeal dey na ya adwuma it rests the matter and there's some kwaye nkoso bi good ekobasa Supreme Court say no sure right na anya adwuma Court of Appeal ebe review judgment no ahwe because appeal is a matter of what re-hearing or say tie biem and to beti no ahwe ade kora ugina so says 41 polling station nko ana wo so otifiri mu na ni kwan say we na judge na ahwe ni ye te hon so no so bebua say kobasa Court of Appeal so ko bua no mse da bi 41 polling station no won't mean fan try entire resource no ntimo nko kan
41 polling station na ene ne kobasa 41 polling station no e hon kwan na be conduct abato no
good okay
all right me pa chow
me say education na ye pena lawyer de amanye enti baby edu sisi e de me fi say babe na me hwele sisi a fi say opani no minim no why be pen ayi bi afo
e go to pack
tuna ku nyo no ye yi say ono de why de obeya no why to say to pack pepe
but say no so de embo mine mine doesn't belong to urban bank
why be pen
yes
enti ebetuma ba so betuma ka sister one recognize na undermine court no ntina me kan say 3 arms of government no enkyere say take war echiche omumu enti me na me speaker of parliament enti me da mo kama asem kura minti waka sa asem ni bi pen the point is on the national constitution na a living organism capable of growth. So what justice so what can 24 versus attorney general justice so what say it's a political document sui generis. This particular document no you can say sui generis are unique on its own. And also say a living organism capable of growth. That means that a idea be onyini no okọ what you say. And also whatever decision be our day be in any interpretation be any provision be our day bano, it must meet the aspirations of the good people of Ghana, not aspirations of whatever as member of parliament, not aspirations of people what was as a speaker of parliament. But senior lawyer. That is why I make a say. That is why I make a say that separateness no. A separateness with reciprocity. And the reciprocity be now the baby Juma asare versus attorney general. I was say reciprocal. And the say so be can we ya no yane de no de ba na se ne de ne ma okwan asa wugitum. Reciprocity no interdependence, but there is no take war separating the 3 arms of government. What I say, although the 3 arms of government are separated, and no it is separated in terms of functions and role, be a playing a function. But when it comes to decision which will meet the aspirations of the good people of Ghana, and yet take war separating them, but there is that kind of separateness with what reciprocity, and it means that reciprocal. And I was say yeah, Juma reciprocal. I was say would you wait the any two now so you say no court na di kan catch us court krona na ugina say yemfa wayi papa na firi and the same court na no asan ba say there be abanome ankoto yanto yabo 13 for no ade ne decision man to obi ankoto aba de a any seat no na the oteso until so recognizing our parliament and why yes na the obey na unconstitutional because it doesn't need to stop the clock. You understand that the clock must continue to work 24/7 the clock na was say adwuma. The good people of Pandai also many good representation Emma obi wo Pandai. So you cannot sit there and say court no say shurara or deba but papa no nguso na court obi anyina baabi ogina no aka kire say o ma member of parliament ne ma. The good people of Pandai omu hia representation omu hia bibia was say decision making ya de obi ka ho and that parliamentary seat shouldn't be vacant e was obi wo ho. What I say. So this particular decision on the abano, it is indirectly telling you, I say, sir recognizing her, but the Supreme Court cannot tell the Parliament to say, may catch the speaker of Parliament or by a genitum, a bassa net so mu interfere with the work of the okay. But that reciprocity it should give you a signal. In that case,
the court and it decided
parliament about court now on that parliament court now on that parliament I was a court no crowd the come parliament no yisi na mfi yisi ne so ya independent work nti yisi ne so twa ya kopim so benya let it be a free parliament of which I don't dispute that one no a constitutional right. As a parliament, you should notify electoral commission. Say electoral commission. That is what I'm talking about. The clock must work. And the also other country was a kokotwabano. However, court aside the decision about on me or doubt, but the court no decision no it binds on you. Supreme Court decision binds on you, and it is giving you a signal. But when it comes to even 3 arms of government now, when it comes to interpretation of the law, why they interpret? By virtue of Article 130 Clause 1 of the 1992 Constitution, interpretation section, it has been given to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court says say namaka, and Maka say there it should give you a signal. I said there is no take war. Separating you from the Supreme Court. So when the judiciary make a decision, Wakacha said take war separating and for that matter I will not go by it. Intimini so. I was say you have to go by the orders. Because on order out there, but you have to go by signal now when you say obia ntena ho na o recognize papa no parliament nti ambabe yes art said oye bi wa afenyo markets there no there unconstitutional and when it happens like that it's going to bring a chaos in this country, you understand that, and we will not have respect for our institutions because when it happens like that you also make an order in parliament or debut on mababe you ajuma another arm of government will interfere.
Mate, ya sorry Jumedi no so na Gasto Bekshana the Nature Medics Consult omo atnase but quickly before we go no anansana yebeko no lawyer what change the away you know so that be say petitioner you come President Bahama for a year challenging a year be a friend say justice Paul Yoni Kolendi. The name is Yoni Kolendi. Yeah, you see, take it. So share Justice Yoni Kolendi. I am one president. I am one, but Justice Yoni Kolendi is somebody I respect him a lot. Yeah, because I heard Justice Yoni Kolendi na brabo. Nene I said you see by no practice as a lawyer. No din huni bebrebe. Justice Yoni Kolendi asem na kwasha no kon. But you see, notwithstanding, the law is the law. So who follow procedure, that procedure ought to be followed. What I say. So my point I'm making is wo His Excellency John Dramani for betiase no the ochro koi Daniel Ofori Mafon no see ye on sem fata
also on sem fata say ye de ne Supreme Court justice. The reason being that say what in the dwumadie no nkeka wa bi abamu nkeka wa abamu ne say ono ne wo faase na ne ho aba asem ana ono watimi ato ne nsa frɛ former
Richard
Japa ana ono watimi ato ne nsa frɛ former Attorney General eni so ono watimi ato ne nsa frɛ former Attorney General e wo ne fie a ese onne former Attorney General ne wo faase Richard Japa ebra mesia wo ne fie na ka asɛm no munyae no ma no nkɔde a ene ne kyese atietia sa constitution na emra ebon ho ban ema no kwan se emfa no ma Chief Justice na etia ho e ka do de kɔto President Mahama but when Mr. President Mahama mo bota enche se free poama so a Justice Yoni Kolendi ho obeba be Chief Justice enti omo doba ba kono no enti den na wakoye petition fa no ho a yetie enya de obeti. I love the man sa ma no ye ja no na ye me de hareba
Chief Justice
Chief Justice de way ba ye ya o se ode ne ba atu kwan eno de matimi agina so ayi na firi ho no obi a wono asem da court anim na wakɔ protect ne wɔ faase akɔ frɛ former Attorney General sɛ bra me nhyia ne twa akyiri na asɛm ne anyim firi hɔ ane de obi petition kɔ ya ɔne Justice Bafo bɔ ne sɛ asɛm ba wonim asɛm wei ɛwɔdo ɛbɛsan ba deɛ ma meka sɛ wobɛkae sɛ Chief Justice ayasa akini ne deɛ ba ase ya ɛma yɛ gyae no ɛna ɔmo baayɛ no ɔmo de agyina saa asɛm korɔ no aso abɛyi no enti Justice Yoni Kolendi me penasem be ya me ya mani trimu nya ne enso nya ne de ebetima basa aban foforo be basa Daniel Ofori ya basa atamasem ne de akọ aban bi de obehu sa primal fashion no ewo mu ataka 146 na me asan de remove no eno na ne ye ka chom se omu protect the former Chief Justice na omu ma nokre enadi be hu a omu suro President Mahama nti ni omu yie di a omu ho beto omu ni nti no obi anu a ofi maame tokuno enti ame asake no but dia wo de be ye onua no eno ana obi so de be ya wo daache but ya me ya se akoto Justice Yoni
Kolendi Richard Japa na akopa asem because all the class be by the
nice gentleman a nice Supreme Court respected lawyer respected Supreme Court judge or the decision ba na kan ya otumu say yes Nkansah say
very good lawyer
Justice Yoni Kolendi I'm telling you in a way ya me de say ja no but the law is the law
Richard Japa and your dear Korean and the law is the law and but honorable what is yes Callistus Mahama ne ho what chipre
market na politics nti de buy Yoni Kolendi said you okay me know you be am penasem papa because but ye party ye dru bi a ye wo nkrofobia ye ma omutumi ye pagya omo ye omo ne ye ni ye edru bi a mo ye nka no kre o keke edru bi a mo ye nka no kre hwe gofre ye bo adame ne ho kire no wo sa ansem yi ana on handle sa issue any Japa issue ya ho ne kofa bae because the respect that he had for Justice Yoni Kolendi anything we inviting woni fia o man ko ananya sanity
yes sanity
but at the end of the what happened nipa na office no wo fase no no nti wo invite no say ombra no ombo ano eduru abiri na girlfriend no wabaye nipa bonefo
say Japan and the recordings the baba
exactly enti nipa na wo ni fie
me use so called recordings
yes enti nipa na wo invite wo ni fie no wabaye no how come say onya ne number wo wie ya na say nipa na office wo say ombo ano na wo fase nde eduru abiri na nipa na office ombo ano na ne ho akwa kire no over ye we nipa wa bi ye nye ne sa afrase o ye nyere sa frase ye mpani vo me de me catch omo de bia se because enema ankrofo we di afom 1 year ye omo baayi any years ye wo yanimi over 3 years na kan e wo ankrofo na ene omo di agro no nya sa na omo tie o because akofo ado ye na dwen se oman na ye kikire enti obi wo baabi kura na se oye obi a onye full politician na owonimdi a obetumi di aboa ye nkofa na mra that's what he did we mo be sa na omo ye na no na amne ne ma
double salary dey say ba no call
yes your party fo bebre wo no mo kasa na de ama bufu abo mu say the way man na ye treaty NDC for no with kick gloves and man ne no mo kire atiwa kakra enti nkrofobia ye bo mo as party a ye tabiro mo offer nsema ye mu ye tetene wa nya no nyina ne ye kana bonto justice yule kolendi ya me no obi amepena sempa meanwhile yes Supreme Court a year
I don't know the over penasable but said the war cano Emrano the be a badia and another lawyer can say a buy a very facility but that doesn't remove a say a be a nice lawyer but they what fast they what fast that pass abrem it's I don't know the other
and the be there ba ya ba hwehwem o say go for a boy damn the omo ba yi na nsi ye omo che no de ko a CID Emma Japan sense me Japan ko report
so ko report no
yes enti asane na so wi kra ye ka che gofre bo adame se akire omu hia na omase ombese afre no biem enti sa ne ma na ye titi nkro forward kick gloves na se position de man krofo a omo form hu di ya ne over ye ne ye te ha na ye
o na sa do dey bi no mom
ye wi adwuma ya ye wi ya ye ba opposition
I do dey account o
afora kwatra brochi mamu
no say o say be so that them o say be so them
exactly me so obi afa o man sika na so obi ayade a me support but the way amana ye adwen sa ministers more than 34 more the double salary and evidence wo bibia wo ho ye de omo kokod akufo ado se da bi political figures 34 do omo kokod a o man be ye omo ba ye na omo ye omo ni me no wuntumi omo tabiri no so obi bo wuntumi di keke se o ye galamti o mba nyo no omo tabiri no a enne wuntumi wo court ne mebo a o kina case ba ko a ngise nka court ba ko ya chembe se nan ayi minua ya ndro na se ya giage ni mobile money account nyina enti se wuntumi mobile money kura wuntumi nsende bi na sa nipa we ni e ba power bi ma ofa lawyer o de mon kan law no ye be
yo gasto mixture that's it na usaka asem wo lawyer no but
na me hwe charges na de bomb na me hwe bia na me slow say what charge obi 54 count obi 78 that
charges on the bomb
I Mustafa Hamid
oh Mustafa there
54 count you see
omo dey about 5
okay say that
what is so dey about 5
no man who 54 ne
oh 54 me say amam for there no market can you bet already na Nkansah say o man reduce
ba na team no 54 count no and before cry back count 1 particulars of offense nya kan be wie na woda eti da be na be wie
yeah ba gasto mixture that's say be de be call another day because he say interesting times ahead wo hwe eye adubu ahedie kura da say do kura do baby akwa du kura do enika the obo de board charges for free 2020 chesa yeah ndisi fuwe omo kwani omo law omo kwani omo law school omo koy but Felix ewa na yenhwe eye nature medics consult omo de gasto mixture mensoplax mixture and afi prostaplax mixture aba ejaso Felix me ma kwala
eja
so ho ye
nyankopon adom me ho ye pa
ye da ya mi ase ene eye brother ye ko ye ni
yo medasi ye pa opanyin kese mechia watiefo ene wahwefo nyina medinchia kese free nature medics ase ebre obi biara nature medics enupa aye prostaplax mixture mensoplax mixture and a gasto mixture no eho enkomo na bread so se atwetwe na yenhya ne nso ese prostaplax mixture aye emema infections adro Prostaplax mixture a mema prostate how adro. Prostaplax mixture bema wanya infection bit say gonorrhea, chlamydia, and also trichomonas no what drew a Prostaplax mixture. Na se bema nya sa infection we ya ebesi den wa hunu say na air cause infection na menya. Ni edin kan bema wo hono no wa ya se eya wo ya. Wo dwon so na wo Philippines